Hello, gorgeous people. My name is Hajara Piton. I'm the CEO and head chandler at Owambe Candles. And I like to come onto my page to talk about lessons I've learned from life and business. Now, one of the reasons why I do this is because I think, especially now, having run my business for over 10 years, I think that the lessons that I've learned along the way would be valuable to you. They would shorten the amount of time you need to, sort of scale and grow your business, but also more importantly, because one of my fundamental beliefs is that to do well, the first thing you actually need to change is your mind. The magic is in your mind. Once your mind changes, everything else changes. So I heard a saying today that I found fascinating. I can't remember who it's by. I'll probably put that in the comments. But the saying was along the lines of, teach a man to feel like an outcast, and he would never come in through the front door. He will find a back door. And if there's no back door, his mind will demand it. Imagine that. Explained another way, think about those big elephants that you see in the circus. You see a mighty elephant in the circus, and it is seemingly confined to a small space. Like they tell it to stay here, and it stays here. And you are thinking, how does this elephant, who is more powerful than probably all of us who are watching it in the circus, stay in this space that they've told it to stay without doing more? It doesn't move. It doesn't move beyond the circle that has been given to it. How did they get it to do that? It is because they had told it since it was little, by tying it to a strong post on the ground when it was little. And so they tied it to a post, and every time it tried to run in the direction, it will be pulled back by the tie. It runs in this direction, it's pulled back by the tie. It's always pulled back to the exact same spot that it was in. So what the elephant starts to learn is that I can only go this far and no more, this far and no more, this far and no more. And because it is conditioned like that over time, the elephant doesn't know as it grows up that now I am strong enough to pull this thing out and go anywhere that I want to go, like regardless of these people, because I'm stronger than them. But its mind has been conditioned to think that this is the radius within which it can exist, and it has learned to accept it. Think about that in relation to your life. Where have you consciously or unconsciously been taught that this is the best you can do? You can only go this far and no more. That people like you only do XXX. People like you don't expand beyond, YYY. People like you only get to a certain level. People only, get rich by doing X type of work. People do not think about it. A lot of the time we're living so unconsciously. We're living with limitations that we don't even know we're living with. We've just subconsciously acted upon them and taken them as our reality. And another interesting thing another interesting piece of information, because there's so much information nowadays, there's so much that we're all consuming, but information that you have, until you use it, until you actualize it, until you use it to question yourself and say, this is not how I am going to live, I'm going to deliberately choose how I'm going to live, then that information is actually useless. You know it, but you don't act on it, it's useless information. So it's the information that you act on that is useful to you. Now I've digressed and forgotten my point. However, so that's what I'm saying, that the information that you have has to be useful to you, right? So today I say those things as a basis because I want us to realize that the thing in your business and in your life that you need to change is your mind. I want to say business again. Because I think I said business earlier here. In your life and in your business that you need to change is your mind. Your mind is the tool. If you change that, everything else changes. Okay, so today I wanted to share with you something. I read a lot of books. I've always read. I like to read. Nerd. And I like to teach. Nerd too. However, I read a lot of books, and there's some books that I read repeatedly, like, maybe once in 3 months. Not actually consciously, but I refer to them so often in my life that I find out that sometimes in a year I've gone back to these books and read them 3 or 4 times. One of such books is Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. Another of such books is by Napoleon Hill again. It's called The Road to Success. It's a compilation and it has all the best minds, in that space on that one. So you have Bob Proctor, Les Brown, Brian Tracy, so sort of narrating that one. I try to read a lot of my books on Audible because, like you all know, I make candles, so I'm moving around, always in activity. I work, I drive myself, so there's a lot of time that I'm moving that I could have spent reading. And instead of letting that time waste, I use it to read and actively grow my mind, because my mind is my tool. As a man thinketh, so is he. And there's sometimes we don't even realize as individuals, like we have not thought all the thoughts that we can think. Do you understand? Like we think the thoughts that are almost mechanical to us, like, oh, we wake up, we do the same thing, we're going to work, there's traffic. So we're thinking the same thoughts all the time. We're not realizing that we're actually not engaging our higher minds to think about, how would I like my life to be? How do I want to live it? What would I like to do today? If today were to be successful at the end of this day, what are the 1, 2, 3, 4 things that I would have liked to achieve? Do you understand? Like, when I'm 50, when I'm 40, when I'm 30, what would 30-year-old me have to have achieved to look successful? And a lot of time that achievement is not what other people say, it's what is important to me, because success has to be personally defined. Anyhow, I'm sure you get it now, that your mind is your biggest tool. So let's go back to what I wanted to share with you today. It's from Napoleon Hill's book, The Road to Success. And he shares in that compilation, I heard this acronym for work, and I thought it was so interesting. Now, work, an acronym. W means willingness to do what is required. And the first step about being willing to do what is required is to know what is required. So to achieve the task, so for example, if you say, I want to have had and made 5 million naira by the time I am 21. And let's assume that you are 19 at this time. Yes, I'm using this young age because I think young people should be aspiring for those kind of things. And then you say, okay, maybe you're 19 at this time, you have just finished university, or you're in you wouldn't have finished university. So let's say you're in part 2 or 3 of university. And let's say you're studying a course like accounting. Now, what can you already do at that age to achieve that? So you have to be able to say what is required. At this age, what do I actually know? Where can I offer freelance services? Where can I offer services that I get paid for? Which kind of organization might need what I have to offer? Since I'm in school, can I sign up on Fiverr? Can I sign up on, what's the other one apart from Fiverr, where you sign up to put your free services? You're good at graphic design, not your free services, but your cheaper services. You're good at graphic design. Can I go and put up some of my graphics somewhere and be getting the job while that is happening? Now, let's say I do that, and let's say every month I make 100,000 naira from this engagement. Where can I put this 100,000 naira? Can I look for places where people do a unit trust? So sort of like an ajo, where they put money together and they buy, let's say, into property. And maybe my own is just 100,000 naira that I'm making every month. Okay, let's say I use upkeep money. So let's say it's only 70,000 I'm actually contributing to that thing. But it's to invest in property, and out of that property, and in that property, when they get rent, I get a share. Do you understand? Like, there's no limitation to when you can start making money and how you can start making money. It's all in your mind. And if you're not actively looking for something, you know how it is that, let's say you just bought a red Toyota, or your mommy just bought a red Toyota or something like that. You start seeing the same car everywhere. It's not like there were no red Toyotas before. It's that now your mind is looking for red Toyotas. In that sense, once you start saying, how can I be more successful? How can I make more money? How can I do more with my life? Then you start to see the opportunities. Yes? So a willingness to do what is required. And I add to that a definition of what is actually required. 2, so we're talking about an acronym for work. Ownership. O is for ownership. So an ownership mentality for creating the life that you actually want. Which also takes us back to, what life do you actually want? Not the life that they told you people in your area live, not the life, what life do you as a person actually want? You have to define that. I did another video on it in the past, you can look for it. But a lot of us behave as we're conditioned. We want what is conditioned. We finish secondary school, we go to university, we get married, we have kids, we work, we live in the city we grew up in, we die in that city. So much more to life, right? But it depends on what you want. Just make sure that what you're wanting is what you are choosing. It's not somebody else that's choosing it for you. R in work is reinvent yourself. So be ready, be willing to let go of who you are to become who you want to be. Because the person you want to be, when you define it, requires a different level of skill. It requires a different level of showing up. It requires a different level of living. It requires a different level of thinking. It requires a different level of discipline and sacrifice. So you have to be willing today to do the work in yourself so that you can get to the outcome that you want. And then K in work stands for kindred spirit. I love that. As you all know, or I've mentioned before, I belong to a mastermind group run by Ekene Onu, the iconic womanhood coach. And part of the reasons why I'm in a mastermind is because they say if you look at in 5 years, where you would be is an aggregate, will be an aggregate of the top 5 people you surround yourself with. Meaning that you cannot progress. Einstein has a saying that a problem cannot be solved at the level of thinking at which it was created. You see that? So if you are 5 of you and 5 of you are broke, nothing wrong with being broke at the beginning, right? If 5 of you are broke and 5 of you sit down every week as friends to say, okay, what can we do? What business can we do? Okay, you're interested in candle making, you're interested in flower making, you're interested in dress making. Okay, today let's talk about your business. How can we help you? How do you scale? You mastermind that person's business. This next week, you mastermind the person's business. After that, you start asking each other, have you done what you should do? Have you made the calls you should make? Have you done this? You see that association of friends will achieve a different result from the ones who gather every week and say, oh, we are broke, oh, Nigeria is tough, oh, Nigeria is not going to be good, oh, this Buhari did this, oh. Do you understand? Outcomes completely different. Now think about it. That let's say you even moved up and surrounded yourself by people who think better than you think, who have better results. If you are the most brilliant person in every room you are in all the wrong rooms. So you see that even the people who are coaches, who are, successful at the highest level, have other people who are more successful than them, maybe in their own fields that they hang out with, that they learn from. Coaches, their therapists, even the sportsmen have their own sports coaches, because you always have to, your association affects how well you do with anything in life. Awesome. So I just wanted to share that with you. I'm always looking for knowledge. I'm always looking to learn. Like I said, when I read the books many times, so I also don't want you to feel like, oh, I'm not, as learning or I'm not trying as hard. No. When I read the books many times, sometimes it's actually because I want to reinforce the knowledge. I also realize that the more I grow, the more I realize that even the things I knew before, I start to understand them differently. So seeking for knowledge is a continuous growth thing. It's something you commit yourself to. It's something you do. And the end result is what makes it worth it. When I think of the life that I want to live, how I want to take care of my children, how I don't want to be bound, by certain limitations. If I want to say, oh, kids, let's go to, I don't know where, but let's say we chose a place in the world that was interesting and exotic and maybe that, people don't usually go to. And I say, let's go to this place and spend 3 months. Or my child says they're interested in it. Let's go to this place and spend 3 months of this year learning their language, learning their culture, etc. I want to be able to be in a financial position that I can say, that's fine. Let's schedule the date. We pack up our things. We go and do the 3 months and come back. And we can even make that a yearly practice. Why not? You see, so those are the kind of desires that I have. I know that you don't achieve those level of desires by thinking on the level of an everyday mindset or a plebeian mindset. So I put in the work, and that's why I continue to study. Of course, there's also the element of favor, and favor and luck, I have another video on it, are cultivated as well. So they're elements, but you are the central person in your own success. So today I just wanted to share these thoughts with you because I want you to be successful. I want things to be good for you because the better they are for you, the better they are for me. Take care of yourself. Stay well. Hajara Kwiton Owambe Candles. Bye.